Welcome to the Season 5 finale of Second Nature, a podcast from Commons. Commons is the app that hundreds of thousands of people use to spend their money better and spend less money too. And on this show, we talk to people about how they're living sustainably in an unsustainable world. If you've been following along this season, you know that the theme has been following the money. And we have followed the money, my friends, from airlines to AI data centers. And the thing about following the money and making our dollars count is that it only really counts when you add it all up, all of us together. In many ways, a capitalist economy motivates individualism. We see that a lot, especially here in the US, but the idea of being part of a village, that dispels the idea that you have to do it all by yourself. When we borrow things from our neighbors instead of buying them, or we ask and offer our skills, then we're able to ditch the default of spending first. We can opt for community over consumerism. But so much of the modern world is really built around individualism. So it can be intimidating to make yourself part of a village, which is why we wanted to end the season with some advice, firsthand stories, and questions from our community about how folks are participating in starting their own villages.
I was really excited when I saw this topic for podcast submissions because one of my favorite quotes for 2026 has been, "Everybody wants a village but doesn't want to be a villager." I've always been someone who yearns and craves community so much, but I wasn't putting in the effort to achieve that. I was just waiting for it to come to me. And the whole "we all want a village but don't want to be a villager" thing has made me realize that you do have to put in the work. If there isn't a community available for you, you have to create it. And that's been one of my major goals for 2026. Being a young person in 2026 is really hard if you want to build community without going broke. Everything is so expensive. Everybody knows this. Consumerism and capitalism has such a monopoly on our access to third spaces that even I found myself attending my friends' youth groups as a not religious person and doing other community events like that because there's nowhere to go that's secular and free. I go to a pretty small boarding school. It can be difficult during downtime, away from classes, away from activities, to find people because you have friend groups form and then they all hang out in their own private time in their bedrooms and stuff like that, and you just don't know when things are happening. So one of my main goals has just been to have public hangouts. I'll be sitting in my room on my phone and I'm just lonely, but it's so easy to walk into our cafeteria or one of our common rooms and say, "Hey guys, I really want to play a board game," or "I want to do something. Does anyone want to join me?" So as much as it's kind of embarrassing to say, I've started texting our student body group chat pretty frequently. So all 200 so students and saying, "Hey guys, does anybody want to have a cup of tea with me?" Or "Does anyone want to go on a walk? Does anyone want to do this or that?" Or if I see a group of people, I'll walk up. And as much as it's a little nerve-wracking to send a message like that to so many people, I often get people that I'm not that close with. They'll message me and they'll say, "I'd love to have a cup of tea with you." It's a very simple invitation and it's very spur of the moment, which I think people can appreciate.
Villages are not found, they are built. You have to be a person that is not flaky. People are used to not feel the consequences of their actions because there's so many options. You can always swipe left and go to the next opportunity. Always, always, always. But villages are built by repetition. They are built by proximity, by sharing constraints. So if you're not long enough, even within a friendship or a relationship or a family, it's very hard to build that value. So you can start with a piece of land or creating a garden in your balcony, a consistent contribution to the community in any way, but really, really make it consistent. And you have to increase your tolerance for imperfection, because everyone have amazing ideas. Ideas are free, ideas are cheap, but execution is imperfect and things are going to go wrong once you bring those ideas to reality. As a people, we have been out of touch with reality, like social media, internet silos. It makes us entirely disconnected from how things really work. Everything is optimized for convenience over contribution, for speed instead of stewardship, access instead of responsibility. So the friction is internal. And we have to rebuild our tolerance for slowness, repetition, and delayed reward. And villages require people who will not leave at the first inconvenience. You have to be someone that can be reliable.
I love showing up for people in my community and being other people's cheerleader. I love to celebrate my friends and make a big deal out of their achievements, because as we grow older, there are less and less opportunities to celebrate ourselves, and there are less and less people rooting for us. So I'd encourage you really to go and tell your yoga teacher that you loved their class, or tell a coworker that they did really well with their presentation. Tell your local barista that you love the latte art that they made for you, and just be other people's cheerleader. But also on the flip side, I think it's really important to be able to ask for help. I'm someone who finds it very hard to accept help. And lately I've realized that's a big part of being a villager too. I used to hate the feeling of being a burden to other people or asking too much. But this year I really leaned into asking people for favors, and they almost always say yes. For an example, an old acquaintance of mine took my professional headshots for free, and we ended up grabbing lunch and reconnecting, and I gave her some work advice as well, and we kind of managed to reconnect. Or a bit early in the month, a friend took care of my plants for a whole month while I was away, and I realized that asking for help also brought me closer to them. And it opened the door for a more meaningful friendship, where they might feel like they can also rely on me and they can also reach out for support.
I'm the person who, even even as an introvert, or even as a person who's also previously burnt herself out from putting events together, still realizes that she seeks them out, and time and again I'll find myself organizing events just to bring people together. And yeah, like the more low stakes the events, the more fun and less burnouty it's likely to be. So yeah, I guess I'm a gatherer. I'm also I joke to my friends that I'm a venue partner. So my home has been like the space for a lot of different potlucks, a lot of different gatherings for different circles of friends or for multiverses of friends. Yeah, it's really made this home more alive and a more meaningful place to be. And I'm glad that it provides this space for others. But also recently, several friends of mine have, just been trying to look for different ways to gather. Like we've done this like anti-algorithm culture club where, people can just gather and maybe like geek out or like nerd out on something that they're really into that might not otherwise show up on your feed. So it's like a counterculture culture club, if you will, or even ugnayan tambayans, or like connection hangouts. Like, so that's something that we also started when we came out with the Ugnayan cards initially. So it's really just a space to hang out, ask each other these questions that we might not normally ask each other, and, just be offline for a moment and not be stuck to our phones, and really being present with each other. we're sold this idea of, self-care as a massage or an expensive skincare routine or an isolated vacation. But sometimes we also need to be reminded that self-care is in the collective, and that to be a villager is to believe in a culture of collective care.
It's a lot about helping others even when it's inconvenient. Bringing food to people who are hurting or have gone through something. Asking, how are you? It's moving a table or watching the animals when your friends are away. Driving someone to an appointment or to the doctor's or to the airport. It's about coming together and seeing where our neighbors, our friends, and our community have these gaps and what I have the capacity to help with.
I became a first-time parent in 2020, and I was so uncomfortable by the level of constant consumption that goes along with having kids that I tried to do as much stuff secondhand as I could. Clothes, toys, books, games, most of which are used for such a short amount of time before it's outlived or outgrown. So I was really inspired by Commons, and as part of your 2024 Earth Exchange, I set up a family-focused swap shop event with a focus on children's items. We ran it totally for free. People could bring what they could, even if that was nothing, and they could take as much as they wanted. I didn't set any limits. And it was such a success that I was approached by the local council to make it a regular event. And since then, I've been running them seasonally for the past 2 years. Running these events has really made me feel like a villager. I get around 30 to 50 families come through every time. They bring with them some wonderful donations. They're so generous and a real spirit of community. The items left at the end are then taken by a local charity who supply vulnerable families with items that they really need. So by working as a team and sharing our resources, we really are helping a huge amount of people. Running the swap shops and trying to be a villager to local parents has really helped to solidify my belief that we are so much better off when we share, and that constant consumerism doesn't have to be the norm. And I'm clearly not alone in that feeling.
My favorite places where I found community in London are at my weekly yoga classes. I also do a monthly creative writing class that's hosted by my local library, and it's free. So that's been amazing. And I also love going to community organized art events. So I would really encourage you to find a weekly activity that you enjoy. Going to the same class regularly means that you see the same group of people, and it gives you a little bit more time to build a bond with them and to get to know them. It also removes the difficulty of figuring out when and where to meet others. You have this scheduled event that you can look forward to every week. My other piece of advice is to search for people with similar interests. So don't choose something way out of your comfort zone if you're not a naturally extroverted person. Don't go for a really high-stakes networking event if that's not your vibe. Just choose a place that you're more likely to meet people who are like-minded to you, and I'm sure that you'll find lots of kind, generous people who are in the same situation as you. And if you live in London, I would really encourage you to check out your local library or your local community centre, because they've always got great opportunities to meet people, and they're usually free. That's it from me. Thank you so much.
I feel like we've built a little village here on this show. I hope you feel that too. I love hearing from all of you all around the world. It reminds me that I'm not alone. But I also need to take the advice from the episode and work on becoming a villager in my own real-life community. I hope you join me. Thank you for listening and for following the money this season. The way we spend and don't spend our money is so important, and relying on community is such a big part of that. As we're wrapping up this season and making plans for the next, it would really mean a lot if you'd write a review of the show and also tell your friends so we can keep this thing going. We'd also love to hear your voice on the show next season. Be sure you're following us on Instagram at Second Nature Earth. And if you haven't yet, also download the Commons app if you're here in the US or in Canada so you don't miss our call for submissions when it comes up. Thank you to all the folks who shared on today's episode. You heard from
Lena. I am from Ontario, Canada.
Camilla Bronson, New York City.
Jen Horn in the Philippines.
Nick Blaka, Milford, Iowa.
Elena Demirova. I'm based in London.
Tavia, and I live in the UK.
This episode and every single episode of Second Nature ever was edited and engineered by the fabulous Evan Goodchild. It was written and produced by me, Caitlin Cunningham. Thanks for another swell season, y'all. Catch you later.